Il Supermercato delle idee, il podcast di GDO News direttamente da Linkontro Nielsen NIQ 2023. Nell'evento più importante dell'anno per la community della grande distribuzione, Andrea Meneghini ha intervistato i manager di Nielsen NIQ facendo emergere i principali topics del mercato retail nazionale ed internazionale.
Buongiorno a tutti gli ascoltatori e ai lettori di GDO News. Continuiamo qui i nostri incontri con Nielsen dalla Sardegna ed in particolare dall'Incontro. E adesso un ospite speciale, una persona importante in Europa nell'ambito di NIQ, è Emilie Darolles, che è la presidente della West Europe, della sezione West Europe di NIQ. Parleremo in inglese, lei è francese, parleremo in inglese e cercheremo di scoprire quali sono i principali trend internazionali sul consumo e di come questi si possano essere o no differenti rispetto all'Italia. Emilie, welcome to GDO News and our podcast.
Thank you, Andrea. Buongiorno and hi everybody. Bonjour. I'm very pleased to be with you today. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about consumer trends.
The pleasure is ours. Emilie, after COVID, many trends are changed, and we are seeing an evolution of big trends that before move more slowly. This kind of picture is happen only in Italy, or is something common in many countries?
Thanks, Andrea. I think what we see is obviously inflation is hitting every market. Italy is no exception. We'll look at, the way consumers consume products. There is a polarization with, premium products and appeal of, premium consumers to buy those products. But obviously we also have at the other end an important need for more cost effective and more value products. So I think that trend is common across all of Europe. What we measure also is e-commerce, which I know has been growing very strongly in the last 2 years. In 2021, e-commerce grew 15%. In 2022, it grew more than 20% across markets. What is different about Italy is we have seen a slowdown in e-commerce actually this year. But what's important to remember is there are very significant differences between categories. So what is true in Italy is although e-commerce is slowing down, you see categories like pet care still growing 20%. You see the pure players accelerating, growing 10%. And you also see the premium product actually having a bigger share in online. So I think that's something that is quite unique to Italy in terms of the slowdown. The other aspect I would highlight is innovation, the importance of innovation. Back in 2019, across the big 5 European markets, we measured 48,000 innovation. During COVID, the level of innovation dropped, actually. So we saw a significant decline by 28% in 2022. And today, or last year, we measured about 27,000 total innovation. So it is a significant decline. What's very interesting in Italy, in the last 12 months, we've seen that actually number of innovation picking up. And now when we look at the total level of innovation in Italy, we're seeing 2% growth, which is actually ahead of some of the trends we see in other European markets. So I think that obviously, the inflation, the pressure on consumers is there. But what our studies also are showing and what we're measuring is that consumers that have, and product and companies that have continued to invest during economic recession are likely to grow 1.8 times faster post-recession. And we're seeing this across Europe. That is a common trend. But one thing again that is unique about Italy is the level of innovation actually in certain categories, like in household cares and also in non-beverage alcoholic categories are actually picking up and driving more growth in Italy these days, if I compare it to other European markets.
Talking about mass market retail, we know we are really particulars and we don't have actually Auchan in Italy left our country, and also Carrefour is not living a good life here, changing many things. In France, this kind of problems doesn't exist.
Well, yes, no, less so. But you see differences across channels, right? The hard discounters are growing massively. They're growing massively in the UK, they're growing in France. This is a big trend. We also see private labels, of course, really growing and accelerating. So yes, as much as the channels and the players in the channels are evolving, I think it's very important to understand what we define at NIQ as the omni-channel, and that's growing in importance across all the big five in Europe. So being able to understand how consumers move across those different channels, whether it's traditional brick and mortar, hyper and super, whether it's online, and I'm actually very pleased to report that we are investing significantly, and we are launching our first omni-channel measurement across the big five, which allows our clients, right, to better decode how consumers are buying across these channels. So the retail landscape is evolving. It's changing fast. I think the companies and retailers that are adapting to the new paradigm will be the successful ones, because indeed also there are strong differences among the different consumers age group and the type of consumers. We know that the younger generations of course leverage digital, and so the channel divide that we used to have pre-COVID even is really getting blurry. And I think to be successful and to continue to grow, it's important to decode the trends that we see across all these channels. So yes, e-commerce is bigger in UK and in France, for example, but I firmly believe that the slowdown we're seeing now, maybe in Italy, will recover. It's just that we had such a huge increase in 21 and 22. It's more a stabilizing effect, but consumers' trends are there. What consumers are telling us is they want more choice. They leverage all the digital assets. And I firmly believe that this digital trend is just going to continue and accelerate.
Another interesting trend of evolution of the mass market retail is the convenience store. I remember 9 years ago, the growing of Franprix à deux pas in France, but also in Belgium in this period, the discount also is discovering the new store convenience 400 meters. Do you think this kind of offer, this kind of retailer could be interesting for the following future?
Yes, I think they are key. I think convenience will continue to be a major driver. People have less time. Everything is moving faster. They need to have access to the right products. I think the question for the store is the product availability and the assortment and the products you'll have on shelf. But I firmly believe that they will continue to play a role, but they also need to continue to digitize themselves, right? I think that's also the key moving forward, is how do we make sure that we help and focus, all the brick and mortar players to become more digital. And I think the blend really of these two things is really what will make the success. But yeah, convenience is growing, even, in France and in other countries, it continues to be a major driver of, consumer consumptions and where they find products. So I think that continues to be, an important one.
Thank you so much, Emilie.
Thanks a lot, Andrea. Thank you.
Bene, i nostri lettori e ascoltatori hanno ascoltato Emilie Darolles, che è la presidente di NIQ West Europe. Siamo veramente felici di averla avuta qui, speriamo di averla ancora nostra ospite, magari anche a distanza. We hope to have you again with us one time.
It will be my pleasure. Thanks a lot again.
Ciao a tutti da Andrea Meneghini, da Emilie Darolles. Ciao.
Thank you. Ciao, Andrea.